Viewer discretion is advised.
The following is a real-time speedrun, brought to you by the affiliates you see below. And now, ladies and gentle people, it's time for the main event. It's time for the 2018 version of Tanglewood in all of its good, high-colored glory. And amazingly, the OST had a major musical shift. But taking a look here, this game definitely looks dynamically different from the way that we saw it originally from the 2016 demo. And it definitely shows. This game also makes use of the YM2612's SSG-EG feature. This allows for certain enhanced audio in specific areas, though you might have some trouble hearing some of those enhanced audio pieces depending on the emulator you use. So I'm not sure. This recording was ported over to gens, so if there were certain sounds that were present on actual hardware, or on Kega Fusion, Exodus, Regen, Bizhawk's Genesis Plus GX emulator, you probably might not hear it. Like, for example, the Gems driver actually has some really bad emulation issues on gens. In fact, that's part of why Shaq Fu has a lot of bad reception in recent time, or at least in retrospect. But, you know, I'll get the Shaq Fu when I get the Shaq Fu. I'm going to be talking over that game again for the dual mode. I'll be talking over parts 4 to 15. Expect that at some point, I just don't know exactly when. Either way, though, here's our main antagonist. He's gonna try to terrorize Nymn a little bit. But she, or it probably assumes that Nymn was about to wake up anyway. So Nymn goes back to sleep. Yep, that's right, the old Three Stooges method. Wake up and go to sleep. So now we can begin the run proper. But, of course, knowing my rules, unless if there's a leaderboard involved, runs will always begin when I hit the start button at the main menu. Either way, time for Nymn to show off what he can truly do. Wait, is Nymn a male or female? Because I honestly forget. I don't want to assume gender identity. Now, this is a max percent run. What this means is that I'm going through all the levels, beating the final boss, and getting all the Fireflies. And like I said in the Kickstarter demo, sadly, due to copyright reasons, we cannot hear the NBC logo whenever we get a power-up. So, yep, we have to be subjected to a different jingle. Now, what you're seeing me do here, go a handful of columns and then hit the A button to move the rock. You're going to be seeing me do that with a lot of objects in this game because as a result of this, this actually does speed up the process a little bit so that I don't have to hold down the button. I'm not exactly sure as to how many seconds that saves. I'm not exactly sure how many frames that saves either, because, you know, I'm not a professional speedrunner. I don't do things on Awesome Games Done Quick, or Speed Demos Archive and Speed Runs Live. I just do all of my stuff unofficially, technically unofficially and independently from any major speedrunning group. Though if anybody wants to archive this on Speed Demos Archive or speedrun.com, please feel free, come at me. I'll be more than happy to get into talks. Either way, this entire run is blind. This run has so many things that could have gone wrong, and it's because this game has no Firefly guide, no map export as of yet, and this was done completely without any outside support. I had no outside support in doing this, so this run is purely based on my knowledge of the levels and skill. Contrary to what it might say in the opening of the raw file, yes, I did have to replay this entire run 2,477 times, or whatever number it says. Don't be surprised. This can happen. Either way, though, here you got the Djakks. And again, I like to pronounce the D. The D is the most important part of the Djakks. In fact, if it weren't for the D, you wouldn't know about its big hitbox range. Because what else starts with D? Dead. I cannot count the amount of times I've had Nymn get eaten by this thing, either when it's not even even when he's not even touching the Djakks. He can literally be, I want to say, maybe 15 pixel rows or something above the sprite of the Djakks. And because of the hitbox range, he ends up dead. Ah, my goodness. This is possibly one of the most brutal games to speedrun due to that. And it takes a lot of timing in this run to do anything right. It gets a little more convenient with Mini Nymn, as I like to call Nymn's little miniature counterpart, who we'll be seeing him later down in Chapter 3. Now, as I mentioned before, also in the Kickstarter run, the glide ability has been changed. There is some change in its functionality. Whereas you would lose descent faster, also decide. Oh wait, no, never mind. We're not at the end of the level yet. But yeah, if you mash down on the C button, you won't lose your altitude as fast as you would in the Kickstarter demo, and it shows. It definitely does show. Also, that jingle, that's what I was about to mention. That jingle that you just heard, that is only ever heard if you get all 8 Fireflies in any level between chapters 1 and 7. As there are none in certain scripted areas and also in chapter 8, this is not something that you'll have to worry about there. Also, another welcoming thing that I really do appreciate is the checkpoint system. Man, this checkpoint system really can save your hide if you're not, if you're not careful in some of these areas, or if you don't know what exactly to do. The checkpoints will save you on plentiful occasions, but it's fortunate, though, that since there are a lot of things that can blindside you in this run, you're better off having having checkpoints at your disposal. You never know when it could come in handy. Now, as you also see, time stop functionality has also changed. So now you're able to run freely when you're using time stop. And it does make all the difference in this run. Oh, actually, hold up here. Does the fuzzy still, or fuzzle still, does it still slow down? Huh. I guess I was completely oblivious to it. I thought it always kept on moving, and at a fast pace. Let's see. These little rhino-like creatures here are actually some of the most disturbing enemies, and possibly the ones that are hardest to see, depending on the level's palette. I cannot stress enough how much I've been blindsided by those too. It's good to see, though, that you do have some invincibility frames when you go into those little holes. Though, I'll be truthful, when you get to the final boss in Chapter 8, in Chapter 8, you can go into one of those. You can hit the final boss, go into that, and then get instantly hit while you're still in that little pit there. That has also killed a few runs too, and it's not okay. It's not okay when that happens. Like Jaleel White said in that one Sonic Says episode about sexual harassment, that's no good. Now, as we know, this game is getting a Dreamcast port soon. I'm not exactly sure when it's getting a Dreamcast port, when a Dreamcast port, and then subsequently its HD counterpart port over to the... Well, actually, I don't know if the Dreamcast port will be the same build of the game that'll be on the PC. I would... Matt could probably clarify that in the comments for us. But, yeah, I do hope that the backgrounds will be much more significantly detailed than they are here. I'm assuming that they were lowly detailed here due to palette limitations, ironically. But I don't think that'll be much of a problem. It would be nice to see an update build to this particular ROM, maybe in the form of a ROM hack if updating the main ROM is not that much of a possibility at this time. But it would be definitely nice to see these backgrounds have much more detail to them, and definitely make much more use of the palette that we see. Also, if I could mention, this is possibly the only zone in the game that makes proper... No. This is probably one of the only games I'm familiar with that makes proper use of purple. See, there's the NBC logo. That properly makes use of purple for the nighttime. Because one thing that I always despised video games for doing is that, like, especially once we got to 3D gaming, you go up, you take a look up into the sky, you take a look at the skybox, and it's pitch black! The sky is not black at night! It's purple! And anybody that doesn't acknowledge that, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's always purple at night! The clouds are purple! Sure, sometimes it might look a little dark blue or black and gold, or maybe even Walt Disney Pictures-esque in its logo design anyway. But still, at night, the sky's not black, it's purple. One thing I also hope, too, is added to a revised build of the ROM is is an improvement on parallax scrolling, because as you can see, most of these backgrounds, they loop, obviously, but the biggest issue that they have is that they don't have that much parallax to them. So maybe we could see something like that later on down the road. I know that that's how Revision 1 of Sonic the Hedgehog definitely handled that very well. I'm actually quite surprised that the folks over in Japan decided to give us Revision 1. I don't think did we ever get Revision 1 over here? Because, let's see, so we got Revision 1, and then we had Revision 2, or was it Revision XB? That was the Sonic compilation, or Sonic Classics build that had Sonic 2 and Mean Bean Machine with it. Also, contrary to popular belief, you do not need that rock to get on that branch. But the one thing I don't like about that particular level, that particular revision, and Lewis of Brain Scratch Comms also mentioned it too in... What commentary was it that he mentioned it? What was it, Resident Evil 4? I can't remember for the life of me. Either way, in Revision 1 of Sonic the Hedgehog, and this was also brought back for Mania, the clouds in Green Hill Zone are moving like a duck in hurricane. Moving like a hurricane. I've rarely ever seen clouds move that fast. But still. Now, this is a section I actually had a lot of trouble on. I had to redo this, I want to say, maybe about 60 times. getting that jump just right on that particular spring mushroom, probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But there are just a lot of areas that you can really mess up in if you're not careful. Like right there, you have to make sure that rhino buddy runs into the wall, because if it runs into the wall, you'll save yourself. Timing your glides here is also important, especially if you're doing max percent. If you're going for any percent, you could pretty much be oblivious in that section and just go all out. Now, you see that thunder? Watch here. Dead. There is a pattern to this. Every 7 or 7.5 seconds, you have to make sure that you are hiding behind the tree. But make sure that you are not high up on the tree. Like if I jumped even too late there, that thunder could hit Nymn even that high up, and that would have been an instant kill. And even on the tamed Djakks that you're going to be seeing in a matter of seconds, hold on. Even if you're on the Djakks and you're masked by the lightning will still murderize Nymn. I don't understand it either. Hi there. There you go. Oh my goodness. The many things that can go wrong in this run if you're not careful. Like right there, you barely have enough time to do that. Barely enough time. Fortunately, though, you at least have enough time. I don't know how I survived that one. Hide behind a tree. Ready, go. That, I think, is possibly the closest you could have been to the end of the tree. And make sure you head as far to the right as possible, or else you would have had to worry about the rain one more time. And there you go, more NBC logo. Can't get enough of that NBC! Wow, we're already 15.5 minutes into this run. You know, as a cinematic platformer, this is understandable. It's understandable for 2 zones to be 15 minutes long. And wow, somebody must have carried Nymn here, because how is it that he could have been asleep and then end up here out of nowhere? Either way, though, right here, what you're seeing, this is an old village that, sadly, all the humans no longer exist. Or some ancient civilization that is allegedly humans. You know, these folks no longer exist. And, you know, you're left to having to use the red fuzzies in order to get their, mechanical items working again. Also, I have that rock there so that it's just faster to push this. There you go. I will also give fair warning now. In the later levels, you're going to have to worry about the elder Djakks. You see, back in the day, the Djakks were used for hunting. And as a result, you know, when the ancients left, you know, there was nobody else for, you know, to handle the job. So, you know, these Djakks remained caged. They remained caged, and amazingly, they're not dead. Let's think on that for a second. We're talking about Djakks that have been around for over 1,000 years. Yet somehow, some way, all the food in their body they were able to survive on. But you can tell that they're not decrepit, but you can tell that they're angered, they're hungry, and they're angry. Oh yeah. They want a piece of the action. They want a real big piece of the action. Also, there are no Fireflies there, so no worries. Just keep running. Oh, man. Some of those jumps, and I do have to give fair warning. All of these jumps, the second that you land on a platform, that is what it's a frame perfect situation, because you have to time exactly when you want to jump again. And from what I know based on my review of this footage, now in Chapter 2, Act 1, you noticed it right before I got the yellow fuzzy at the end. The biggest issue with this is that you don't do a frame perfect jump unless if you are just about to touch the platform. Because I'm assuming the C, I think that the register for the C button, yeah, if my memory serves correctly, the register for the C button works for at least 3 to 6 frames. So if you time your C button pressing just right, it'll trigger, the jump will happen, and the rest follows. This, I think, will be an important footnote for anybody that will be doing a task of this game at some point or another. I have no intentions to task this game. I will give it that right now. This run was already brutal enough in real time. I don't want to have to do this again. Just to show off that yes, the max percent run can be sub 60 if done right. But you know, I'm satisfied with what I have here. I'm satisfied with what I have. My 110 estimate was reached. By the way, you know, I don't know if anybody has done this in the Vaporwave sad posting group on Facebook yet. In fact, I don't even think anybody on there knows Tanglewood but me, and possibly a handful of other people. But you know, this right here, this entire level looks like it's pure Vaporwave during sunset. Oh, how I love the palette. Oh, but then we come into nightfall, and that's where things really start to kick in. So, we're about to come and meet one of the elder Djakks after getting that Firefly, and we gotta open up the door there. Yep, you can see that it's thinner. It's thinner. And I don't know if it's faster. If I was just 10 to 15 frames too late on that jump, oh man, that elder Djakk would have gotten Nymn. Nymn would have been a goner. I won't lie, this run had me a little scared. This run definitely had me a little scared here. You know, I can't seem to keep count. How many shades of red is Nymn and the Djakk, not including the blood? Because I want to say it's possibly 4. Ah, another one. You know, I'll be truthful. Some of these actually gave me some genuine jump scares. Some of these Djakks honestly gave me real jump scares. And, you know, I was flipping my fist some of the time. I was like, yo, chill with that. Chill. Come on now. Oh, man. I think that's the kind of reaction that Matt and the crew were probably expecting from me. or basically anybody that plays this game. Because, you know, again, not everything that happens in this game is expected. Like right here, that's the last of the Fireflies. And here's our little buddy. I call him Mini-Nymn. Or could Min-Nymn make sense? Not sure. Either way, despite the very dramatic music, there's nothing to really worry about. Just had the Djakk run down there, and he is dead. Now all you gotta do is just run over there, cutscene triggers, and hey! Now I think, what is this? Isn't this a track from the launch trailer? This is honestly one of the most beautiful tracks in the game, though I personally still prefer listening to the I still prefer listening to the Kickstarter demo's title screen more than this, by comparison. Now, as you're seeing here, yes, you will need mini Nymn in order to go through some of these areas. This is possibly one of the hardest parts of the game. The end of Heritage 3, and what we're about to come up to now, Chapter 4, and then down in the mines. These are the two hardest chapters of the game. Because at any time, mini Nymn can be eaten. At the same time, you can also get them in a lot of pickles. There have been a handful of situations where this did happen, and I didn't know what to do for the life of me. Scared the fish out of me because, you know, I didn't know if I could actually get through some of these segments as Nymn alone. Though the fortunate thing is this game is pretty lenient to a T. And I say to a T because there are a lot of areas where you can mess up. And because, again, the AI is not optimal. By no means is mini Nymn optimal. Which it's something that I hope is handled proper for the Dreamcast port. And subsequently, its Steam re-release. The many times I messed up in Chapter 4 just because of this alone. Either way, yeah, let him go down there. He'll get the Firefly, and he'll also drop down the Fuzzy for you. Which you will need in order to drop down this bridge. But, yeah, he'll also queue when he can't go across water. But first I gotta get the two Is it two Fireflies? Or is it... I think it's two. Yes, two. Now, this particular palette, or at least the way that it's directed here, it reminds me... Don't question this, but I'm not sure if some of you remember these. But back in the day, I want to say this is possibly from 1992, early 93. There was a Tiger Electronics catalog that I had. It was a big one, too. It was thick. It was magazine size. The thing literally fit in your hand. But I don't think it was just Tiger Electronics. I think it was Tiger Electronics and a handful of other things. Oh, hi, lit up piranhas. Are y'all piranhas? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the manual actually said anything about these things. But yeah, there were a handful of Tiger Electronics games that played in a fashion similar to Simon. I remember there was this one with like 8 different 8 different circles on it, and they were gray. They were gray, and they could light up either pink, green, or blue. Most specifically, neon pink, neon green, and I think heavily desaturated 1970s evening blue. I don't remember the name of that. But, I don't know. It's just something about that catalog that just comes back into my memory when I take a look at this. When I take a look at this particular game. And specifically this level. For some reason. I don't know what it is. But I love those times. Those times were some of the most beautiful memories. Oh, I hope I could possibly find out on the Internet Archive or something. Heck, maybe some of you even know the catalog that I'm talking about. It also, the catalog in question also featured, I want to say, no, I take it back. I think it was possibly around 1994, because I do remember that it did have the, it did have the Sonic the Hedgehog 3, it had the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Target LCD game. So it could have been something circa mid-94 or maybe March or April of 94. I would have to look through the archives. I really would. There's just so much about that issue that it just stood out to me. Stood out to me, gave me some good memories. Always a fun time. Always a fun time. It's just something about this level's art direction that's crying out that to me. And I apologize for sounding like a broken record. You know, when I go down memory lane, I don't expect this to happen. Also, I'm waiting here because Mini Nymn is apparently... Yeah. I actually had a handful of instances where he wouldn't show up. I had at least 20 instances where that happened. And I had to restart this section many different times. But, you know, once you get the hang of this section, you know, it's in the bag. It's totally in the bag. Actually, I think I can do the rest of this just as Nymn alone, unless if I'm missing something. But, yep, there we go. Run up, and there you go. There's the yellow fuzzy, and then you can just push down there, and everything, and hang on, just bouncing on a little white fixture, and you can get transformed. I can't be Boomhauer. I've said that on plentiful occasions. You know, I can easily do Hank Hill now.
Well, you ain't my paper boy. Well, I know what my paper boy looks like, and you ain't my paper boy. I'll get the paper when the real paper boy comes.
Yeah, okay, that's possibly more closer to Mr. Anderson, or at least, because, you know, Mr. Anderson was Mike Judge's prototype vocal template for Hank Hill. Technically, Mr. Anderson and Hank Hill are the same character in this fashion. Though, again, you can tell where there are some noticeable differences. And you won't hear those differences on microphone. You can only hear that if you ever hear me in person. Now this being here. You have to be extremely careful. If you even get caught within the uppercut, the frames of the uppercut animation, Nymn is done. So the best method I have found here is to just slightly push the rock over there, then guide the beast over here to the right. Then as he's passing through, just drop it. All you gotta only do that 4 times. You don't need to do it any more than 4. Once you get that all proper, you just knock them down again, and then the rest follows. It's fortunate that these rocks don't break, unlike their 2016 Kickstarter boulder counterparts. Also, one thing I have to mention about the rock. It is very, very easy to have it miss the platform. Had that happen a handful of times. Not a welcoming sight one single bit. It's scary. It is one scary time. You know, somehow I think that this game has a fascination with the color turquoise. I have never seen turquoise used so much. Turquoise and ice blue, I've never seen used so much for night palettes. But it just looks good. It just looks good. That cost me about a second. Initially, I was supposed to head left. I don't know why I headed right there. I don't know why I headed right. Either way, though. So there's the red fuzzy. About to reactivate the machine. Drop. Boom, boom. It is very easy to have that actually not land on the platform, or it could get stuck on the little boarding on top of the machine, and then you have to jump up, and that costs you about 1 or 2 seconds. It's stuff like that I don't like in my cinematic platformer. Don't get me wrong, you could get away with that in Flashback. In fact, the 2013 remake of Flashback, you know, that was a welcoming sight to be able to do certain things such as that. And, you know, you actually were able to engage in some sequence breaking because of how glitched that game is. At least version 1. I can't vouch for version 2, as well as the build that has the 1992 version of Flashback. In this case, the Amiga version on the console, in the build. If I ever decide to do Flashback 2013, because you know I'm going to be doing the Delphine Software games, I'll be doing Another World, I'll be doing Heart of the Alien, Flashback, Fate the black is going to be a 50-50, because I don't know how I want to touch that. I don't know if I want to touch the DOS version, or if I want to play the PSX version in BizHawk. I'm really unsure. And then, of course, the 2013 remake, obviously that will be done. But if I'm going to play the 2013 version of Flashback, it'll likely be on the PC. The PlayStation 3 build of the game has some very interesting things that go with it. But for me to play that on the hard difficulty on New Game Plus, without 60 frames per second support, mind you. Oh, by the way, favorite section, minecart. Everybody loves a little minecart section. But still, the PlayStation 3 version of the game does have some glitches that the current PC build does not have. But when I say the PlayStation 3 version, I mean the Japanese PlayStation 3 version of the game. Because the Japanese PlayStation 3 version does have some glitches that aren't present in the US and European builds, mostly because the build in question is a different build. So there are some different impacts there that, I could have Conrad do some really ridiculous things. In fact, I mentioned this, I want to say back in February, no, not in February, in March. It was either March or early April. I was home alone at the time, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna just do this game on New Game Plus. Gonna show off exactly how easy it is to do some really game-breaking glitches. Little did I suspect that I would find something even scarier than game-breaking glitches. A game-crashing glitch. Now, obviously, you're not meant to be in the area where the trains are when you're going through the stations. I forget if this happened at Asia Station or America Station, but or maybe it was Europe. No, it probably was Asia Station, and I went to Africa Station or Europa. But either way, if you go in the train, right? If you go in the train as Conrad, and then select a specific station, and hold right, make sure that you killed the Morphi before doing so. Yeah, this is probably Asia Station. You have an extremely rare chance in the Japanese PlayStation 3 version of the game to clip out of the train, and it crashes. It just crashes the game. The PlayStation 3 won't even reset. And bear in mind, this was proven on a it's not a, well, technically it's a 20 gigabyte launch model. This was actually is actually an 18 gigabyte console, because I want to say 2 gigabytes alone is taken up by the firmware and other specific software that the PlayStation 3 needs. So that particular model is possibly best for external hard drives. In fact, I have to thank the people over at PS3 Exploit. I had been trying to install custom firmware on my PlayStation 3 consoles for years. I didn't know that I needed version 3.55 or earlier until about 2013 or so, when I started diving into this thought and concept. But by that point, I was well past version 356. I think I have version 4.20. Yes, I literally have 420 on my Slim model. My Slim model's actually dead. It's not dead. The console will still boot, but it will always act as if it's overheating. And I've done everything. I've done the penny method. I have Arctic Silver 5 on the processor chips. Nothing helps. Nothing helped. Also, clever developers' foresight. That jump is intentionally made so that you're out of reach. But either way, I have a lot of stuff on that 111 gigabyte hard drive that I gotta move over. But and then I've got the launch model over over right next to it actually. But what I'm very glad about though is that the way the PS3 exploit works, I think it's what, in version 3.0 or 3.5 or 4.0 now? You can install custom firmware on a launch model, an 80GB model, the launch model 160 gig variant, the slim, well, technically any slim post January of 2011, and even the super slim, to my knowledge. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is take your PlayStation 3 to a specific website. You'll be able to enable the exploit. Then you can install custom firmware that way. But I think it's a very specific version of Rebug. And it's best recommended to do this on builds before revision 482. If you're able to do it on builds past 482, I don't know about it. I installed my... That's a very precise jump. You're not supposed to be able to jump over that Djak, but I somehow find a way. Jump up there, jump up, make sure that Mini Nymn hits the button and kills the Djak, and okay, we're good. I actually had a handful of situations where I actually did miss that and had to redo the level, but still. Either way. But still. You know, getting custom firmware on my PlayStation 3, this was something I've been trying to do that was something I was trying to do for years. Over 7 years, I waited for that. That is something that I hope I never have to worry about again. But, you know, at this point in time, you know, I don't have a Generation 8 console. The only Generation 8 console game I have is new Super Luigi U. The last console that I ever got was an Xbox 360E. 250GB model, obviously. And black. There's just something about Generation 8 of gaming that repels me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because of the fact that PCs have become the master race, and Kayla Lawson, who is Royameadow and Company's 12th in command, she mentioned that if you're ever going to work on a console game, release it for PC first, and for good reason. I am very glad that she gave me that advice. And ultimately, if I ever do anything, I always intended to make a console of my own. I've been meaning to do that since 2001. I've had a console concept for over 17 years. Oh, by the way, here's the Djak. But it's a pup. Mini Nymn seems to be satisfied. Either way, this Djak actually can mess with your red fuzzy, so be careful. Also, it actually delivers a good future variant of the Djak track. This actually kind of reminds me of the old DOS-era tracks, specifically Super Solver's Gizmos and Gadgets. Ah, fun time, fun time. But yeah, as I was saying though, I've had a console concept for many years that I've wanted to release back in 2001. Developed early concept model designs back in 2009, but again, I still don't have the hardware for it. Maybe what I want to do just won't happen anytime soon. I'm talking about something that can support 8K to 32K resolution, as high of a frame rate as possible. But the console concept I'm talking about would probably cost over $300,000 to purchase, even if I were to release it now. In fact, a Dell Precision Tower 7920 with optimal hardware, dual Intel Xeon Platinum, the best model variant. Triple NVIDIA Quadro P6000 with 24 gigabytes of VRAM, over 2 terabytes, no, exactly 2 terabytes of regular RAM, and a whole bunch of other things. 16 terabytes of hard drive space, you name it. That goes for over $156,000 on their website as we speak right now. But back to the game for a second. Is Nymn dead? Did we literally just lose the main character a little more than halfway into the game? Oh my goodness. Oh, this is a depressing time. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Hello there. My name is Uncle Ruckus. No relation. For the rest of this game, I will be talking over your commentary. I hope that you've been having fun with the run so far. It's gonna be fun from here. And I will just make sure that you know there will be no racist moments here. There will be no bias. There will be no questions about our economy. It's just gonna be some fun with your favorite little critter and me, Uncle Ruckus. Ah, yeah. I kid. When I'm on my downtime, I like to imitate Uncle Ruckus, no relation. Seriously, the fact that the Boondocks is getting a video game adaptation, the worst thing about the concept is that Aaron McGruder and company, they want to do this on mobile. Why would you do your game on mobile? Make it a console game. There's so much you could do with this game if it were on console. The only question, though, is in what capacity or what genre would this be? Because, you know, I'm down for this concept. I am honestly down for the concept of the Boondocks being a video game. I don't care if it's like a Grand Theft Auto style game, though. I wonder how you could do that with cartoon drawing designs. I mean, don't get me wrong, South Park: The Stick of Truth as an RPG, it holds well for what it's worth. But what I would like to see one of these days is the 3 PSX and N64 Ultra 64 titles re-released, but completely remastered at some point. But that'll be a different story for another time. But possibly using the current South Park art template, who knows? But the Boondocks, there's so many things you could do. Don't get me wrong, I want to see a fighter. I want to see a brawler. I want to see a platformer. I want to see an RPG. Heck, I would even be more than happy to see a Grand Theft Auto style game using the Boondocks as a basis. There's just so many good concepts that could come from this. But I really do hope that Aaron McGruder and his crew know exactly what they're doing. It's kind of like what the folks with Shaq Fu: A Legend Reborn did. I love what they did with Shaq Fu: A Legend Reborn. Easily one of the best things that they could have done with a genre shift. I mean, it really does feel like Final Fight is back, even though Final Fight hasn't been around for years. Also, I mentioned this on Twitter on the 24th. Actually, this is being recorded on the 24th. That jump! You're not supposed to jump over that Djak. Let me just clarify right now. There's probably about a 10 frame window where you can do 6 to 10 frame window where you can do that. I don't know if that actually saves time, but I thought I wanted to show off that. That was bizarre. I actually got that on the first try. Oh, that shocked the fish out of me. And I literally mean fish. Because right now, you know, I'm running on, I'll be truthful. You know, I'm not somebody, oh yeah, this is the endurance round. But if I can mention, I just thought of something. These Djakks, they have the mouths of the Munchers. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, word munchers, number munchers, fraction munchers, super munchers even. And I don't mean the old Apple II versions. No. I did not grow up on the Apple II builds. I grew up on the later variants of the Macintosh builds, which sadly have very poor audio emulation on the what's the name of the emulator that runs Macintosh games from Mac OS 6 to 9? Can't remember for the life of me. I have it installed on the computer, but I just can't run it. Either way. Also, make sure that you get this Firefly. A lot of people will miss that on their first try. Also, if I could mention something about the, about this area. You see, this is why I really hope that a revised build will fix the parallax issues. Because look at that. It looks like this place has so many moons. Too many moons for comfort, if not many suns. Actually, no, that has to be a moon. Because why else is it not lit? Right? By the way, some really bizarre things can happen in this particular level if you decide to use an emulator to lock the palette, specifically gens. If you decide to lock the palette here, you can cause some really, really weird situations with not just the foreground, but I think with the palette of the background, even though Mini Nymn will still look the same. Though I won't lie, it kind of does seem a bit interesting seeing Nymn running, gliding with his red palette, or his green palette, or his green or blue palette if he decided to lock the palette earlier on. And that Djakks just got bodied. That Djakks just got wrecked, son. I don't speak like this. Why am I talking like this? It's like something took over me. It's like there's some hidden courage that's built inside of me that's finally unleashed. I don't know what it is. But maybe this is, I mean, if this is indeed my official return to commentary, well, technically my official return to commentary was with Shaq Fu Parts 1 to 3. If you haven't watched Shaq Fu Parts 1 to 3, watch it. You'll enjoy it. Shaq gives us a fun time. Also, be very careful with those thorns. One other surprising thing that you probably noticed is the thorns on the ceiling actually don't get, you don't get bodied by them. It's very surprising. Also, we're coming into the last 12 minutes of the game. Man, I never thought that, I mean, don't get me wrong, Deadwood is probably the second worst level or zone in the game to worry about. The worst is not over. This level. Oh, Chapter 7. I despise Chapter 7 with a vengeance. And for good reason. I'm not sure if that's a serpent, or if it's an alligator, or crocodile, or leviathan maybe, I don't know. But this thing, it crawls. Out of nowhere, it crawls. And you can get bodied with the quickness. Look at that. See how fast that was? If I kept Mini Nymn on the ground, the run would have been over. The run would have been over. I'd have had to restart countless hours of rehearsal. Again, there are so many things that can go wrong in this run. Also, I can't tell if it's hot. I can't tell if it's hot in this area. But I'm noticing the background, like if you stay stationary for a while, it starts to have that that water effect that you saw in Labyrinth Zone. And also, I think in what was the name of the second zone in Sonic Advance 2? I can't remember for the life of me right now. But I think that also had a bit of an effect like that too, because I think the entire level was built on a volcano. Can't remember for the life of me. Either way. So now I gotta run this log. Now, oh, that sounds like a beautiful concept. Hey Matt, how hard would it be to get this game moved over to RSDK with some help from Christian Whitehead and company, and have this game be remade in 3D? Oh man, Tanglewood 3D. Oh, my body would be ready for that with the quickness. Oh, man, the things that could possibly go good with that. That sounds like a really good concept. Either way, though, now we are in the final main level of the game for Fireflies. And you will hear the game start sound effect once you get all of them. So, be ready. Be ready. I actually do something that you're not supposed to do at the very end of the level. You'll understand what I mean when that happens. And it all comes down, I want to say, to this. It's either this green. Is it this green fuzzy or is it the one after? No, it's the one after this one. Also, bad position. I did check the I checked some of the re-records on that before I just restarted the level outright. That was a really bad position that I had the green fuzzy. Either way, they're alright. But yeah, normally you're supposed to use the green fuzzy in order to get through the last section, but somehow I was able to cheese it, and also make sure that you get the Firefly there, in that specific jump. There you go. Because I missed that, and that cost me. That cost me big. I had to redo the level full throttle. Alright, there's number 7. The last one's down there. But again, see this green fuzzy? For some reason, I want to say that I glitched it out of sight. I probably glitched it completely off the map. So there we go. Yeah. As you see, it didn't go through. And it's still rolling, but now you look, it's not even there. So I had to gun it. I had to gun it. Look how close I was to, oh, that was so close. So close. So many things could have gone wrong with that. So many things. Either way, got max percent, got 100% Firefly collection. So, I'm not going to show it off. I'm not showing off that. But when you complete the game, you unlock the level select. So you can basically go to any level, well, technically the Act 1 of any level in the game. And you'll be able to revisit anything. It's kind of like how they did it with Limbo and Inside, though Limbo I don't think had any major collectibles, and Inside obviously didn't have that. Well, no, Inside did have collectibles, which would give you an alternate ending. Also, 2 good cinematic platformers I'd recommend to anybody that loves this genre. Now, the serpent's about to go there. Now, yes, you are not seeing things wrong. This white power-up, no pun intended, the white power-up is a smart bomb. Everything on screen gets killed. And man, is it one powerful being. It even kills the Djakks. Who would have known? Now comes the hardest part. So we're about to go into the final boss fight, which, contrary to what it may seem, no, there are not 3 or 4 forms. You just have to do this fight multiple times. And in multiple areas with multiple traps to worry about. So, can't go up the elevator shaft, so what you have to do. So here I am having Mini Nymn run around like a madman until I find out it's just better to stand. So wait for the final boss to show up. Then use the flash, and then send out this vortex. Might be a black hole, not exactly sure what this is. But be careful, because like everything in this game, well, Nymn and Mini Nymn are a one-hit kill. And you'll also notice too, the more that you go through the fight, the faster that becomes. Eventually, though, you'll have to time your running correctly so that you can jump over it, because it becomes smart enough that you don't have to worry about. That you start to have to worry about it moving at a specific pace, and at a pace that you probably might not like. Either way, now we're on the second segment. And, yeah, so jump through the water there. You want to be careful about going to the left, because if my memory serves correctly, If you go to the left, you will get captured, and you will have to restart this segment. I don't know though if you, because I didn't have this happen to me, but I'm assuming that if you mess up, you just continue from the beginning of the segment that you left off on, rather than having to do the whole boss fight again, Mega Man X7 style. Ugh. I don't like Rockman X7 for that reason. You know, I keep shifting between Mega Man and Rockman for the name, but still. One of Rockman X7's worst issues, if my memory serves correctly, is that if you lost a chance anywhere in the boss rush, you had to redo the entire boss rush. Or something around that nature. I don't like that concept. The concept of having to completely redo a boss rush from the beginning, if you mess up in a level where you're meant to have that happen, I don't know what could go wrong there. A lot of things could go wrong with that concept. Hey now, what's this? Oh my goodness, Mr. Nymn is alive. Oh my man Nymn, you're alive. Oh lordy, come on, let's get out of here. Oh, Uncle Ruckus, you really love Nymn. Oh yes, that's right, Mr. Roya. I love Nymn. Nymn is one great man. But I'll tell you one thing. He's a ghost. There ain't nothing white about it. Oh, Uncle Ruckus. He promised there would be no racism, but technically, can you be racist to an animal? There's nothing racist about it. No. I'm not even gonna go there. We already have a bad enough political climate as is. Having to talk about gender identity, racism, sexism at that. And because I am an advocate for anti-racism, anti-sexism, or xenophobia, and all those other things, there's just so much that I have to worry about discussing in a weird way. So don't be surprised if MA7. Don't be surprised that I put MA17 for suggestive themes and dialogue. Yeah, dialogue and suggestive themes in this in this program is for that reason alone. I always when I used to do commentary full time from 2010 to 16. I used to talk about the more sensitive subjects. But in this politically correct world that we live in now, I have to be a bit more, strategic with what I say and do now. But it's not that much of a problem. I'm not as controversial as I lead myself on to be at times. Now, going back to this. Now this is the final part of the fight. This is where the vortex or black hole really starts to show how fast and strategic it can get. Now, if I didn't hit B right there, right on that very frame, I would have gotten bodied. Because again, the final boss is very powerful, and it's not easy. It's not easy to take him down. So there's the final hit. This mother dugger is dead. He dead, bro. So all I gotta do now is just get the yellow fuzzy, take it to the lamp. Time is when I hit A last time. Time. That's world record, 102:15.85. This could have been a little better, but I will take that. I will take 102:15.85. It's a glitchless run. It's a max percent run. It's possibly the first run of this game that has been done and uploaded to YouTube. This run was recorded between the date of August 14 and 22 of 2018, and my goodness, The things that happen in this, there's just so much that could have gone wrong with this. But this, I'll be fine with it. I'll be very fine with it. I'm happy. I'm happy with this outcome. So now I can give final thoughts on Tanglewood. Or at least until the HD version comes out on the Dreamcast and PC. So, Matt Phillips had been working on this game since 2012. And I didn't even know. I didn't even know that this game was in the works until December 6th of 2016. That's when I got the Kickstarter demo, that's when I decided to do the run, and well, the rest followed. This game, you know, after enjoying Limbo, Flashback 2013, and Inside, we haven't had a big cinematic platformer for, I want to say, at least about a year and change. So when I'm taking a look here, oh hey, there's some familiar names in here. Yeah, you got Seek and Org866. I did not expect that they and some of the folks at Sega 16, Sonic Retro, and even Traveler's Tales were actually a part of the development of this game in some form or another. My goodness, I love these folks. If you don't follow them, please do. You will thank me later. You'll thank me so much. They have some really great works out there. They really do. But as I was saying, though, this game, cinematic platformers have always been my thing. You know, Prince of Persia 1989, Another World, Heart of the Alien, Flashback, Quest for Identity, Fade to Black, and then the stuff from this generation, and even Prince of Persia Classic, which was a remake of the original 1989 game that I think came out in 07 or 08. It's available on Xbox Live and the PlayStation 3, though it's probably best to get it on the PlayStation 3 if you can, and possibly on a jailbroken console if you can't download it. But either way, you know, in a time where Generation 4 gaming seems to be back in good fashion, especially thanks to Mania and Mania Plus with the with RSDK reviving the old Generation 4 gameplay concept templates, I think we will be seeing more titles such as this showing up in the times to come. And Tanglewood definitely is a great place to start if you want to handle the cinematic platform genre. Though, because of its difficulty, I would say you don't necessarily have to be a veteran to enjoy this game, but it's best to be a veteran of this genre to really get the best out of it. No two ways about it. Also, I'm sure that y'all see this. Yes, Seek has the extra special super thanks at the very end. Now, for those of you that may remember, I did talk over Project MD, possibly one of the best homebrew platformers on the Generation 4 console, on the Genesis and Mega Drive. Even though it's not complete, I love that game to no end, and I hope that eventually it does get a definitive version or maybe remake or something. Either way, you know, I'm sure that without Seek, this game wouldn't have been possible to make. And without the dedication from, you know, Matt's fans, you know, his family and everybody, you know, I'm very glad that he was able to get out this game with the help of his team and any Kickstarter backers and everybody else in the scene. I definitely love what I see here. This is easily one of the best games of the year. You know, I could put this up there with Mania Plus, Shaq Fu: A Legend Reborn, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, yeah. Because honestly, the three games that really stood out to me this year are Sonic the Hedgehog Mania Plus, Shaq Fu: A Legend Reborn, with the Barack Fu DLC, mind you. Yes, Barack Fu: The Adventures of Dirty Barry. And, or is it The Misadventures of Dirty Barry? I forget. And, of course, Tanglewood. Do I hope that a lot of the cut content from the 2016 Kickstarter build, and also any content that didn't make the 2018 build, show up for the Dreamcast version? I really hope so. I really hope so, because I do intend to play the Dreamcast version when the time comes. I just don't know when that'll be. Either way, though, I hope that this run will suffice for now. This was something that I had on my back burner for months. I had it on my back burner for months. I said, if I'm gonna do this game, I will run it immediately on launch day, and that's what I did. I just didn't expect it would take 8 full days to do it. But it was 8 full days well spent. And whatever else comes beyond this point, you know, I'll be ready for it. I'll be ready for the Dreamcast version. I'll be ready for the HD re-release. And who knows, maybe you'll probably see a run of those too. Maybe we'll probably see another remaster of this on RSDK. But I think I'm satisfied with what I see here, and I hope that you guys are satisfied too. You know, this commentary definitely is a little all over the place. I haven't done a really good commentary in months, because again, the Shaq Fu commentary was the last major commentary I did on this channel, and there's just still a lot of stuff I have to do. I have to do the Shaq Fu dual mode. I have to go back to the Saturn version of Side Pocket 2, Legend of the Hustler. And then, of course, I got Sonic Chaos, and then the 16-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball. There's a lot on my plate, and since I'm kind of on a semi-hiatus because of low hard disk space, don't expect everything to come too soon, but it'll come in a reasonable manner. That's the best way for me to put it. Either way, though, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I really do. And Matt, I'm sure that you're watching this. I'm very glad that you were able to make this game with your crew, and I'm very glad I was able to run it. Who knows, maybe I might show up and run this live at another time. But for the time being, I hope that this will suffice for now. I'm sure that this will be shared around. I don't expect this to go viral or anything, but who knows? Who knows? This game definitely has gotten a lot of good attention. This might actually help. This might actually help out the channel. And also for those curious about the Kate Fairbanks mashup mix that was heard at the very beginning of this program, I will be uploading that soon, along with a Clone Hero chart of another Kate Fairbanks mix that I had made back in January. But all that will be discussed at a better time and shown when the time is proper. So for now, I'm freelance entertainer Roya Rockwood. I hope you enjoy your day, afternoon, dusk, night, after dark. Whenever the duck you happen to be watching this video. Either way, I'm out. Peace.